Ladies and gentlemen, truth is stranger than fiction. In the 1970s and the 1980s, high schools and middle schools in northern New Brunswick would often get what they call roadshow attractions for Christmas or holiday movies. Now, we talked before on the channel how 1941 Midnight Express was brought into DRHS for a Christmas movie, how Timothy Dalton's Wuthering Heights was brought in to my Nash Creek grade school, but this movie either was a roadshow performance or it was a holiday performance. I don't know. It was shown at the Jack River School. Now that was I think one point. It's a grade 7 to 9. We didn't have kindergarten until later on, but it was a bizarre movie that included everything from murders to, male rape to, drug use and attack of the cops. Typical Roger Corman movie. Now, Bloody Mama. This exploitation crime drama, again, directed by Roger Corman and starring Shelley Winters in the title role with Bruce Dern, Don Stroud, Robert Walden of Lou Grant fame, Alex Nichol, and the young Robert De Niro in supporting roles. It was very loosely based on the real story of Ma Barker, who was depicted as a corrupt, mentally disturbed mother who encourages and organizes the criminality of her 4 adult sons in Depression-era southern United States. Corman has said in published reports he considers the film one of his favorites in his filmography. Now, in rural Arkansas during the Depression, middle-aged Kate Bob Barker, disturbed by the childhood incestuous rape she experienced at the hands of her father and brothers, also brutalizes those around her while indulging in her monstrous sexual appetites. She is devoted to her 4 young adult sons, the pragmatic Arthur, sadistic Herman, homosexual Fred, and loyal drug-addicted Lloyd. Ma decides to leave her husband George in her Arkansas home to embark on a robbery murder spree with her 4 sons. Typical road movie. Now, when Herman and Fred are arrested and imprisoned for petty theft charges, Ma leads Arthur and Lloyd on a bank robbery spree for the money to free her sons from jail. The gang is then joined by gunman Kevin Dirkman, Fred's older cellmate who eventually becomes his lover. Also accompanying them is a local prostitute, Mona Gibson, whom Herman frequented before his imprisonment. Now, while hiding out in a cabin in Kentucky, Lloyd is approached playfully by a young woman named Rembrandt, who swims up to him and he dangles his feet in the lake. The encounter begins flirtatiously, but quickly turns into rape and abduction after Lloyd shows her the needle marks in his arms. Lloyd tells her he's a Barker in spite of Ma's warning to use an alias. Not wanting the woman to report the location to the police, the Barkers hold her captive, and Ma kills her by drowning her in the bathtub, despite the protests of her sons. Ma subsequently seduces Kevin, leading Fred to resent her. Now, upon arriving in Tennessee, the gang abducts wealthy businessman Sam Pendlebury and hold him for a $300,000 ransom. The sons, particularly Herman, bond with Sam, who is seen as a decent father figure they never had. When Herman and Mona attempt to collect the ransom, they barely escape from a pair of FBI officers. With the ransom eventually paid in full, they plan to leave Sam untied at the hideout, providing them time to escape before he can talk to the police. Herman, however, wants to see Sam's eyes, which remind him of their father. Sam says he can't see because of head trauma. Now, Ma insists Sam be killed to avoid his identifying them. Sam is then led into the woods to be shot, but the boys, now seeing Herman as leader, set him free, lying to Ma about killing him. Later, to explain the need to leave the territory immediately, Herman tells Ma of the deception and knocks her to the ground, saying she's no longer the boss. Now, the gang hides out to the Florida Everglades, where Lloyd dies from a morphine overdose, and Mona leaves Herman and the gang after revealing her pregnancy and fearing for the safety of her unborn child. Her fears are justified when Herman and Kevin give way to hiding place a little later. A local handyman and caretaker, Moses, witnesses them shooting an alligator out of the lake with a Tommy gun and calls the police to report his suspicions. When asked, he says their cars have Tennessee plates, and the authorities quickly deduce these are the Barkers. At the climax, a large contingent of FBI agents and local police arrive at the Barkers' hideout, and a huge shootout ensues between the authorities and the surviving members of the gang. Which Kevin, Fred, and Arthur are all killed, along with many officers. Herman commits suicide to prevent himself from being sent to prison again. Ma is the last one to fall, firing her Thompson machine gun at the police, screaming in rage and anguish, unable to accept that her boys are dead because of her. Again, all-around family movie. A big cast, of course. Pat Hingle is in it, Bruce Stern, Diana Varsi. Cinematography by John A. Alonzo, edited by Eve Newman, music by Don Randy. AIP released it, of course, and distributed and produced it. 90 minutes, made 1.5 million at the box office on also 152,000 admissions in France. Now, AIP announced Don Peters was writing a script for this as early as '67. The gunman named Kevin is pardoned after the historical gunman Alvin Creepy Carpus. The wealthy businessman character of Sam Pendlebury is a combination of historical kidnapped victims William Hand and Edward Bremer, whom the Barker gang kidnapped in 33 and 34, respectively. Now, the film was shot entirely in Arkansas and it shows on the screen. Prior to playing Ma Barker in the film, Winters played Ma Parker, a villain inspired by Barker in the '60s Batman TV series. Now, the film had its premiere on March 24th, '70 in Little Rock. It was then released in 350 theaters in the southern U.S. from Texas to Florida, including 65 theaters in Arkansas. Again, it grossed 1.5 million U.S. rentals. The film holds a terrible score of 17% on Rotten Tomatoes based on 6 reviews. Now, Howard Thompson, New York Times, wrote that Miss Winters is playing wonderful in the film, which, although similar to Bonnie and Clyde in subject matter, happens to be more honest and less pretentious, and no grudging admiration for criminal rebels. What hoists the picture in the real substance towards the home stretch is an eerie and fascinating, credible sequence with the Barker clan holding as captive a blindfolded millionaire, strongly played by Pat Hingle. Peter Scheidel, also writing for the New York Times, described the film favorably as a low-budget, unpretentious, extraordinary, brutal little movie about the pathology of senseless murder. Now, Arthur D. Murphy of Variety wrote, Corman's production has a naturalistic look sought, but the occasional poor looping and uneven color and textural qualities add up to a liability. His direction is passive, unpretentious, unambitious, and therefore non-existent. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune gave the film 1 star out of 4, calling it 92 minutes of sadomasochism, incest, sadism, and voyeurism woven into disgraceful screenplay. In fact, the whole treatment might be called an embarrassed version of Bonnie and Clyde. Now, Charles Chaplin of the Daily Times stated, it is such a close and mocking tribute to a celebrated movie a couple of years ago that should be subtitled Mummy and Clyde. It is a sleek, vile exercise. Indeed, Bloody Mama is a piece of pop art from which you emerge feeling depressed, degraded, and diminished. Ken Toin of the Washington Post wrote, his lyrical pastel shades, even the blood blends deftly into the color scheme, show that infinite pains have been taken with the film's visual aspect. A Corman trademark, for sure. Unfortunately, another Corman trademark, atrocious acting, is well represented here, making it hard to recommend a film that people can hear as well as see. Now, ironically, this was AIP's highest-grossing film of the year. Now, the film is recognized by the AFI in the 2008 list of nominated top gangster films. Now, initially banned in France and New Zealand, these bans were subsequently lifted because of context and what they call commandment breaking. The film was initially refused certification by the censor board in the UK, but despite this, was screened at National Film Theatre. Screenwriter Robert Tom's novelization of the film was also banned by New Zealand's Indecent Publications Tribunal in '71, but 40 years later, in 2012, the ban was overturned by the tribunal's successor, the Office of Film and Literature Classification. Now, not to be confused with a later film by Roger Corman called Big Bad Mama, but also the sequel to this came out in '87 in Big Bad Mama 2. Now, Big Bad Mama, the other version, has a weirder cast. Angie Dickinson, William Shatner, Tom Skerritt. So it is what it is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you this. Don't watch this movie, and I say this for a reason. There's no redeeming qualities. Shelley Winters is a sow in most of the movies she's doing in the '70s, and I say the sow, that's who she's playing. She's basically playing an overbearing woman. Now, this is a woman who dropped a drink on Oliver Reed, the famous, Tonight Show episode. Shelley Winters, to me, is not only one of the worst actors to have 2 Oscars, one of the worst actresses of all time, if she wouldn't be recognized. She's terrible. I've never liked her. But this is interesting seeing Robert De Niro and Robert Walden, who was great in All the President's Men, the leader in Lou Grant, to see them in the early years. And what was kind of funny with Robert Walden, he was getting a lot of publicity later on for being a heavy supporter of the LA Kings in the NHL. He would show up in publications promoting hockey, so he's had a diverse career. But you know how much I like Bruce Dern. I like Bruce Dern, like having 7 wisdom teeth removed without anesthesia. No wonder I don't like Bruce Dern and Shelley Winters. If you go to your middle school and you're forced to watch this, we were not allowed to leave while the movie was on with this being shown. That's how strange we were. You couldn't just go, play for 2 hours in the parking lot, because the parking lot was our playground. Jackal School. I'm not joking. The parking lot was the playground. So it is what it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the latest review of the Roger Corman oeuvre. If you like what we're doing here with our movie reviews, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And if you don't like Shelley Winters, give me 10 reasons. I can give you 1,000, but I just find her disgusting, and just the way it goes. Not because she's a female, not because she's an overbearing asshole, but she's basically overrated by the press that made her overrated. And she took roles away from much better actors and actresses. Have a good one. Bye.